Welcome to our SUSECON digital demo session. Say goodbye to downtime for SAP services. It's about the SAP application platform and the cluster integration. We will show an integration overview, trigger and takeover in the SAP management console, and demonstrating SAP rolling kernel switch. First, we begin with the overview, showing the SAP Management Console and the SUSE High Availability Web Console. Here we see the SAP Management Console, two systems, a database and the application system itself. We have the High Availability Configuration tab, where we can see the test which run successfully with our test results, and we can even see our own tests. Here, the checks from SAP are checking, for example, are the application things high available? Is there an ASCS and ES running? And if we are checking an SAP instance ourselves, we get a high availability information tag showing the active nodes, a list of available nodes, and we could even trigger failover, which we will do later. Looking at the hawk, we could see that the view of both worlds are the same. So our ASCS is running on Valuga 23. Valuga 21 is currently empty, only running an internal resource for the cluster, and the ERS instance is running on Valuga 22. Looking on the status, we could expand the groups, having a look on how they are configured. And here we see that each group consists out of a file system, an IP address, and an SAP instance. Same for the ERS instance, of course. So these are the two worlds we can combine here, and we see that they are interact and giving the information to each other. Here we have the nodes view. We could control if a cluster node is set to be standby or to maintenance. Now we are trigger takeover in the SAP Management Console and checking the cluster reaction. We can see that Valuga 21 is, from the SAP instance perspective, an empty node. So it's a perfect candidate to fail over to, because then we do not have two instances being running on the same node. And this is also what is new with the ENSA 2 concept. We are first filling the ASCS log table with, I would say, synthetic logs. Not coming from the SAP system itself, but from a test tool, just to have something to demonstrate. Then we look at the ERS2 we want to fail over. Oh, there are only two nodes available. Maybe not the true. So we update the status in the management console by hitting the update button. And when it gets green again, the interaction is being passed, and the newest information is available. When we check here, we see all three nodes are available. We select Valuga 22 as being discovered by Hawk in foreground and hit the fill over button. And we can see here that now the ERS has been restarted. We see that already starting again on Valuga 21. And once it passes the start action within the cluster, the question mark will be changing to a green circle again. And we wait for that. So now everything is green again, but if we explore it, we see that ERS 10 is green, but still has those two things beside. And we see in the management console, if we check the current status, that the active node of the ERS has been changing from 22 to 21. This status is being updated regularly, but we hit the update button just to get it a bit faster. We see that only two nodes are available currently because we have still those two items here, and these are ban rules coming from our migration. They are time-based, but we don't want to wait that long, so we clean up those ban rules out of the cluster. We can explore it in the group. And see that now these things are gone. And if we update the status in the management console, we could then see that we have all 3 nodes available again. So with that, we go to checking the enqueue table, and it's available still. So we now running a rolling kernel switch, which is an exchange of the sub-binaries. And so we can exchange those from the outside, from the stage area, as I would call it, to the instance area. We see that right now the patch level 28 is inside of the system. And if we check what is in the stage area, it's the same patch number, it's 28. So let us update the kernel in the stage area. So we copy a new binary version to submount. And this is where during the start, an instance is copying its binaries to the local access storage. And we can see that now our pre-staging or staging has been worked. So we have version 100 right now. In the SAP system, we see, of course, this didn't change anything. So it is still 28. Checking the updates first doesn't fail. So we have no failures in the SAP high availability. All dialog instances are there. But we see that we should check a subnode if we want to do that. As we have this cluster integration, we fill the log table, and after filling the log table, we check it just to demonstrate that such logs would not be lost during this update. And after that, we now do it. We are running a rolling kernel switch. It's a simple call to subcontrol, update the system. You can define about timeouts and so on. And once we have started it, we can check in Hawk in the dashboard that one of the instances in this situation, the ERS, is being restarted locally on Valuga 21. This is the node where we migrated for once before. And if we check the process list, we can even see that this process is really being started in the last 5 seconds. So it's really new. And if we check then the version, either with the command line tool we have here, or with the tool in the management console, we can see that the first instances now have already patch number 100. 2 of them, because ERS and ASES has already been passed both. And now we are checking with a tool, getting a system update list in SAP, that we have 2 instances already green. And the 2 instances are still in status yellow. So the first dialog instance is currently in the process of stopping. As ARS and ARCS has been restarted already, we check the log table, and we can see that luckily we didn't lost any of our enqueues we planned to demonstrate. And the dialog instance 1 is already been starting. So let us check in the management console about the version status, and we can now see that 3 of 4 instances now already have the patch level 100. So this is what we also would assume that is correct. Checking the process list, we see then just when we are checking the text status, it's been switched to running right now. So dialog instance 1 is now on green. Let us check it in the update status, and we can see dialog instance 1 is already on green, and dialog instance 2 is now in the process of stopping. We check the instance 2, process instance, dialog instance 2, we can see that in the process list, it is in a so-called soft shutdown. This means it waits for a timeout or till the last user has been logged off, whatever happens first. So it's just more recommended in graceful shutdown, which does not immediately disconnect user or batch running sessions. Checking the log table still shows that even those results didn't break anything in our enqueue logs. And we see that now dialog 2 is still stopping in the stopping mode. Have a look in the management console, what happens there. So updating once more because we are a bit keen to get the newest status here. You see that one process is still running. This work has already been stopped. And once we update, we can see all processes are stopped right now. Checking that in the get system update list, we see that dialog instance 2 is now starting. And we will see that in the process list. And can have a look at the instance only patch level. And this is also 100. So now all instances in our system are on patch level 100. Logs are still there. And once the dialog instance has been started, this list gets empty because after the last instance has been updated, there's nothing anymore to do, and this ends up in an empty list, not in a green list. So this is why in our next steps, when we see it, this list gets empty. So now the dialog instance 2 is running, so we would expect that now the list is empty, as I already explained. Let us check now if the log table is still there. It is the case. And after such a test, we could deload our technical logs and just to give those enqueue entries free, to free them. And yeah, let's check what happens here. We are lucky, and you can see 2 entries which are coming from real world, so from the running SAP system. So enqueue system is running for our logs. Here finally you can see the management console and our Hawk side by side. Everything is green and working. Thank you for attending.